Right now, as you are watching this, a wall of rain stretching 400 miles wide is rolling across the United Kingdom, and if you live anywhere south of Birmingham, it is heading straight for you. But here is the part that should really grab your attention. The Met Office says the ground beneath your feet has not been this waterlogged since records began. Every single drop that falls tonight has nowhere to go. So the question is, when exactly does the worst of it hit your area, and how bad does it actually get? Stay with me because I am about to break this down city by city, hour by hour, so you know precisely what is coming and when. Before we get into that, let me give you something right now. If you are in the southwest tonight, Plymouth, Bristol, Exeter, your risk of flooding is the highest in the entire country. 65% chance of heavy rain in Plymouth alone. That is not a maybe. That is a coin flip weighted against you. And if you are driving the M5 or the M4 this evening, there are already reports of standing water across multiple lanes. But here is what most forecasts will not tell you. There is a specific window later this week, a narrow gap, where conditions actually improve dramatically. I will reveal exactly when that window opens at the 5-minute mark. So whatever you do, do not skip ahead just yet, because the details before that could save you a lot of trouble. Now, let me tell you why this winter has been so relentless. Because once you understand the reason, the forecast for the rest of the week will make perfect sense. Thousands of feet above your head right now, there is an invisible river of air called the jet stream. Normally, it flows across the Atlantic well to the north of us. But this year, something unusual has happened. The jet stream has dropped south, and it has locked into position like a motorway, directing every single storm system in the Atlantic straight at the United Kingdom. High pressure, sitting stubbornly over Scandinavia, is acting like a wall, blocking those weather systems from moving through. So instead of passing over and clearing out, the rain just stalls right on top of us, day after day after day. How bad has it been? The southwest of England and South Wales have seen rain every single day since the 1st of January. Not most days, every single day. January rainfall was 50% above average, making it the 12th wettest January on record. And Aberdeen, listen to this, Aberdeen went a full 14 days without a single hour of sunshine. That is the longest stretch since records began in 1957. Nearly 70 years of weather data, and this is the worst it has ever been for darkness in Aberdeen. Right, now here is where it gets personal. Let us talk about your city, your roads, your evening. And by the way, if I do not mention your exact location, drop a comment below telling me where you are. I read every single one, and I will make sure your area gets covered in the next forecast. London and the southeast. Right now, the temperature is sitting at around 7 degrees Celsius. It got up to about 11 or 12 degrees during the day, and tonight it will not drop below 9. That is unusually mild for mid-February, and here is why that matters. Warmer air holds more moisture, which means when it rains heavier. The chance of rain across London this evening is 40%, but here is a detail that most people miss. The 10th of February is statistically the single wettest day in the entire month for London. The long-term average is 3.66 millimeters on this exact date. So historically, tonight was always going to be wet. But layer that on top of ground that has been saturated for weeks, and suddenly even a moderate shower becomes a problem. If you are driving through central London, Westminster, or anywhere along the M25, take particular care. Surface water is already making roads treacherous. Flood warnings remain in force across London and the southeast. Brighton, down on the south coast, is sitting at 7 to 8 degrees, but the wind coming off the English Channel is fierce. The actual temperature might say 7, but the wind chill brings it down to 3 or 4 degrees. If you are anywhere near the seafront tonight, wrap up properly. Now do not skip the next section, because this is where the real danger is tonight, the southwest. This is the region taking the absolute worst of it, and I need you to understand the timing. Plymouth right now, 9 degrees, and the probability of rain this evening is 65%. That is the highest figure for any major city in the entire United Kingdom tonight. The rain is not light either. The Met Office has been explicit. Heavy rain and strong winds are pushing into the southwest with a real risk of flooding. A yellow weather warning covers Plymouth, the whole of Devon, and all of Cornwall. The wind direction is crucial. It is blowing southeasterly to southerly, which means it is driving moisture and waves directly into coastlines that have already been battered by Storm Chandra at the end of January and Storm Goretti before that. These are coastlines that have not had time to recover. Bristol, 8 to 9 degrees, completely overcast. In a normal February, Bristol sees about 8.6 rainy days with around 16 millimeters total. This year, those averages were smashed weeks ago. Bath, just down the road, is in the same situation. Average February temperatures there are about 8 degrees by day, 3 overnight. The rain keeps coming and going in waves all through the night. And here is a story that shows just how serious this has become. Bournemouth at Iford Bridge Home Park has already experienced serious flooding from the recent downpours. The ground is so saturated that it physically cannot absorb another drop. Any further rain, even light rain, could push water levels over the edge again. If you are in Bournemouth, Poole or Christchurch tonight, please check the Environment Agency flood warnings before you go to bed. The Midlands. Birmingham, the second city, 6 to 7 degrees this evening beneath total cloud cover. The high today was about 9 degrees. Rain chance sits at 40%. The Met Office describes some bright spells earlier with rain arriving later, spreading from west to east. Now, here is an interesting detail for Birmingham. In February, the city normally sees about 3.8 days of snowfall with around 15 millimetres of accumulation. Tonight, there is no snow at all. But remember this moment because I am going to tell you about Thursday, and that is when everything changes dramatically. Coventry is recording 8 degrees. Wolverhampton and Stoke-on-Trent are slightly cooler at 7 degrees. Worcester and Hereford, close to the Welsh border, are milder at 9 degrees, but wetter because they sit closer to the rain fronts pushing in from the west. Oxford and Cambridge, those two great university cities, are both at around 9 degrees with overcast skies and intermittent rain. Winds are noticeably lighter than along the coast, and rainfall is less intense than further west. Norwich, deep in East Anglia, reach 9 degrees during the day but will drop to 4 overnight. East Anglia sits furthest from the Atlantic rain systems, so while it is cloudy, you are getting less rain than almost anywhere else in England. Now the north. And this is where things start to feel properly cold. Newcastle upon Tyne, 8 degrees on the thermometer, but do not be fooled. The wind coming off the North Sea adds a brutal chill that makes it feel significantly colder. Skies are overcast with scattered showers. The day only managed 9 degrees. If you are on the coast at Tynemouth or Whitley Bay tonight, it will feel more like 3 or 4 degrees. Sheffield, 9 degrees. Leeds, the same picture, cloud and light to moderate rain. York, that beautiful ancient city, averages about 9 degrees by day and 3 overnight in February. If you are visiting York tonight, you will absolutely need a waterproof jacket, but here is the critical detail for the northeast. Do not miss this. The Met Office is warning that by Thursday there is a real prospect of snow falling on the Pennines. So tonight it is rain, but within 48 hours it could be snow settling on higher ground. The shift is coming fast. Manchester, 6 to 7 degrees, completely overcast. The day peaked at just 8 degrees with a 35% rain chance. Liverpool, 7 degrees, with stronger winds than Manchester because of its coastal position. A southeasterly breeze is pulling moisture off the Irish Sea and pushing it straight through the city. Both Manchester and Liverpool are forecast to stay unsettled and frequently wet, with heavy and prolonged rain possible, and snow on the higher hills by Thursday. Wales. Cardiff, 8 degrees beneath heavy cloud. Yellow weather warning in force. The heaviest rain is falling across the southern counties. Swansea is getting hit even harder due to its direct exposure to the sea. Winds are stronger, rainfall totals higher. And if anyone is even thinking about heading into Snowdonia or the mountains of North Wales tonight, I need to say this clearly. Do not do it. Mist and low cloud are blanketing virtually every summit. Cold winds are sweeping across the ridges. Rain is near constant. Visibility is dangerously poor. Please postpone any mountain plans. This is not the night. The Met Office warns that Wales will remain unsettled with further heavy and prolonged rain, creating the risk of additional flooding. The ground, after weeks upon weeks of relentless rain, is desperately waterlogged. Scotland. Now, if you thought London was cold, Edinburgh tonight is 5 degrees. That is a full 2 degrees colder than the capital. The sky is completely overcast. The day only managed 6 degrees. And here is the key detail. Edinburgh is entering a phase of more persistent and determined rainfall with strengthening southeasterly winds. The feels like temperature could drop to just 2 or 3 degrees tonight. Glasgow, even a fraction colder at 5 degrees. Day high was only 6 degrees. Normally Glasgow takes the brunt of Atlantic weather, but tonight the wind is blowing from the southeast, so Edinburgh is actually more exposed than Glasgow. Neither city is pleasant, but Edinburgh gets the worst deal tonight. Aberdeen, this is the city the Met Office has singled out with a specific yellow warning. Persistent and at times heavy rain falling onto thoroughly saturated ground. Rainfall totals of 15 to 30 millimeters are expected across a wide area, with 40 to 60 millimeters possible over higher ground. That is a huge amount of water on land that cannot take anymore. And by the end of tonight, some snow may begin affecting the highest roads in Aberdeenshire. This is the first clear signal that much colder conditions are arriving. The Highlands are in a different league entirely. Mist and low cloud cling to virtually every mountain. Snow is falling above roughly 700 metres, just flurries for now, but persistent ones. Cloud bases are sitting stubbornly between 400 and 600 metres. Visibility is extremely poor. This is emphatically not a night for the hills. Northern Ireland, Belfast, 6 to 7 degrees beneath thick cloud. The morning started relatively dry with a touch of sunshine, but by the afternoon, clouds spread everywhere, bringing outbreaks of rain, some of it heavy with freshening easterly winds. The ground is saturated, rivers are running high, and any additional rainfall could push them over their banks. Remember, Storm Chandra at the end of January brought gusts of 60 to 75 miles per hour to eastern Northern Ireland. Tonight is nothing like that intensity, but the damage from those storms is still very much visible, and the land simply has no capacity left to absorb water. Southampton on the south coast, 9 degrees by day, 4 overnight. Cloud and light rain with moderate southeasterly winds. Exeter and surrounding Devon are awash. Flood warnings cover parts of Somerset, Devon and Cornwall. The images of floodwater engulfing Langport on the Somerset levels after Storm Chandra are still fresh in people's minds, and tonight the rain is falling on that same land. Now, here is what I promised you. The 5-minute reward. The window of hope. Here is when conditions finally break. Thursday, temperatures drop sharply. The rain eases. Friday, strong coastal winds but drier conditions for many. And Saturday, this is the one to mark in your diary. Saturday is forecast to bring a dry, cold and sunny day across large parts of the country. After what feels like an eternity of grey skies and endless rain, Saturday could finally deliver the kind of crisp, bright winter day we have been desperately missing. It will be cold, yes, but it will be dry and it will be bright. But, and this is the twist, before you get to Saturday, you have to get through Thursday and Friday first. And Thursday brings a dramatic temperature drop along with the real possibility of snow, particularly across the north and east. The Pennines, the Scottish Highlands, Aberdeenshire, and the hills of Northern Ireland could all see wintry showers. So the rain stops, but winter arrives properly. Pack your warmest coat from Thursday onwards. Let me pull this all together for you. Tonight across the south, London, the southeast, the southwest, Wales, temperatures are mild for February at 8 to 12 degrees by day, dropping to 7 to 9 tonight. But rain dominates everything, from scattered showers in the east to heavy persistent downpours in the southwest. Yellow warnings in force, flood risk elevated everywhere. The Midlands, 7 to 9 degrees, overcast, rain spreading from the west through the evening. Not as bad as the south, but far from dry. The north, Manchester, Liverpool, Newcastle, Sheffield, Leeds, 6 to 9 degrees. Cloud and showers. A distinctly colder wind along the eastern seaboard. No snow tonight, but it arrives Thursday. Scotland, 5 to 7 degrees, the coldest part of the country. Persistent rain, strengthening winds. Aberdeen under specific warning. Snow possible on the highest roads in Aberdeenshire by the end of tonight. Northern Ireland, 6 to 7 degrees, cloudy, rainy, freshening easterly winds. Saturated ground and elevated flood risk. If you must go out tonight, wear a proper waterproof coat, take an umbrella, and put on shoes that will keep the water out. If you are driving, slow down, keep your lights on, and watch for standing water. Check the Environment Agency flood warnings, especially if you are in the southwest, Wales, or eastern Scotland. And honestly, if you do not need to be out, stay in. Put the kettle on. Let the rain hammer the windows while you are warm inside. Now, here is why you should subscribe and turn on notifications. Tomorrow's forecast is going to be critical because Wednesday brings another band of heavy rain pushing into the south, and I will have the exact timing for when it arrives and when it clears. Plus, I will have the first detailed breakdown of Thursday's cold snap and where exactly the snow is most likely to fall. You do not want to miss that one. Drop a comment below with your town or city. Tell me where you are watching from, and I will make sure your area gets specific coverage in the next update. Stay safe tonight, and I will see you tomorrow with the Wednesday.